Hi guys, I'd like to welcome you guys all back to my channel. First, I want to apologize if I sound really tired. It's just been, interesting couple of days. But I am here to talk about my March reads and my April TBR. Now, I haven't quite picked my TBR for my spring cleaning readathon. If you guys don't know what that is, I'll leave a link to that down below, and there should be a card or something up here. But basically, it's the new readathon that I created. It's only 5 prompts, but I decided I'm going to do a separate video about the TBR for that, probably closer to the week that it's happening. We might see some books repeated in there. We might not, because I do have a couple library books that I want to talk about. But yeah, first, we probably should talk about the books that I read in March. And unfortunately, there were not a lot of reads. I hit a massive reading slump this month, and that's mainly because of the Seat at the Table book club pick of the month, which was She Would Be King. And boy, oh boy, that book was super short. It was only like 270 something pages. It was so difficult for me to read. I did not enjoy that book at all. I felt that, well, actually, I will leave the link down below so you guys can check out our live show, because it wasn't that I disliked her writing. I thought her writing style was really good, but the story was very lacking for me, and my co-host also agree. So if you guys want to see what I really thought about that particular book, you can go ahead, check the description box, and there'll be a link to that live show for you guys to watch. And I would actually love your opinions if you've read this book, because I actually listened to it via audiobook, and I do not recommend this book via audiobook just because it's very confusing. It tells a lot of stories, and it's very hard when you're listening to it to realize that the story has changed. So you're very confused right off back. And it's just, it was a lot. So yeah, I read that. The next book that I listened to, because when I tell you, I did not feel like actually picking up a book to read while trying to read She Would Be King, and then even after, it's been a struggle. So I'm hoping that April I get back into my self-love time where I read for 30 minutes a day. But yeah, so the next book is Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and this is by Seanan McGuire. This is the second book in the Wayward Children series. If you remember, I read Every Heart a Doorway during Booktubeathon last year, and I thought it was actually good. Again, super, super dark, but this story, it's technically the second book in the series, but it's actually a prequel to the first book, if that makes any sense. So it focuses on the twins in the first story. I'm trying to tell this without telling spoilers for the first story. But basically, it's what happens when it tells the story of the twins' life, what happens when they go through their door, and what happens when they come back out of their door. So it's still very dark, but I actually liked this book better than the first one. And my reasoning for that is I felt that this one, I don't know, this one was just more cohesive, and it could possibly be because I already know what happened to the twins after they come back from their worlds, and I was very curious about what kind of world they were in, and then obviously this book completely answered that question for me. So, excuse me. So I actually feel like I don't know, I just really like this book better. So I know at one point online I saw this thing where they told you the order that you should read the Wayward Children series, but I'm reading them as they were published. So at the end of this series, I'll let you guys know what I think the order should be. But technically right now my brain is saying this. Oh, just hit myself in the face. My brain is telling me that this is the prequel to the first one, because the events of the first book happen after they come out of this door. So basically their door is this dark place that's run by a vampire. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because it was a surprise and I enjoyed it a lot. Now I'm looking at my reading journal because honestly, I can't tell you. Okay, this was on my list. Awesome. So I did read this month. This month, like I said, has been a jumbled mess. But Surprise, guys, I actually finished The Last Magician. I know, ridiculously long time that it's been on my TBR. I'm actually very ready to read The Devil's Thief. I felt like this book started off extremely slow and very boring. Also, they refer to their magic as their affinity. And so, try this again. So they refer to their magic as affinities, and it is focusing on this one girl. Her name is, man, I'm zoning. What is her name? Esta. Okay, so Esta is a girl who lives in the future. So we're going to say like she lives in 2019, but her affinity is that she can time travel and she can she basically has control of time. So when it's just herself, she can bend time in her area and she uses it to escape or pickpocket or anything like that. But what she has been doing is working with the professor who found her and saved her by like adopting her. He got her this stone that she wears so she can actually travel back in time. So she travels back in time to get these pieces that the professor has been wanting her to get. And then this book starts off from her last heist right before that, where he sends her back in time to find the magician, because the magician is the one who knows where the Book of Arcana is. And that book is supposed to hold all the secrets to magic, because what they want to do is get off the island of Manhattan. The problem is they can't, because there is a barrier around Manhattan that when you leave Manhattan, you go through the barrier and it's like your affinity or like your being basically is stripped from you if you are magical people. So most people that go through it die. So for that reason, it was like, oh, okay. But it basically focuses on her going back. I don't know. This is the time of New York where like people believed in alchemy. People believed in like, this was the Gilded Age basically, but with alchemy and then real life magic hiding within the shadows. So like the magician himself is also a man that you hear the story from. So you hear the story from Esta, the main female, and then you hear the story from the magician. So I felt like this was really good. I also recommend this via audiobook. I listen to a lot of audiobooks at work, so I really like this one. I'm actually going to do The Devil's Thief for another readathon, not mine, because I actually don't own it on my shelf. And yeah, one of the readathon rules is that it has to be something on your shelf. So that's all the books that I read in March. I only read 3 books in March. I am so shooketh. But yeah, so we're just going to go ahead, move on to the positives. Let's talk about the books that I've started reading already. So obviously I started reading The Priory of the Orange Tree. But this book is so big. I'm only on page 25, honestly. Like, normally I sit down and read for like 30 minutes a day, but I haven't really been in the mood. So I stopped reading this and I went to The Everlasting Rose by Dhonielle Clayton. And for those who don't know, this is the sequel to The Bells. So it focuses, like, it starts right where the ending of The Bells stopped. And for this book, I'm only on page 13. So I'm only on chapter 2. But I think I'm going to put the heavy fantasy down, because that's the kind of vibe that I feel like the heavy fantasy just might be too much right now. So I might have to just come back to this book later. But I'm still leaving it on my TBR just in case I get a fantasy bug. Because it's not a book that I want to listen to via audiobook. It's so much world building, and I'm trying to understand the dynamic between the people and the dragons and the scales and the diseases and the different kingdoms, the deity. I'm trying to understand all of that, so it's so much. So this is a book I recommend reading. This one, I don't think it's on audiobook yet, so I did get this from the library. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm at a point in the beginning of the book where they're already trying to introduce some new elements. So I'm very much excited. Dhonielle Clayton is surprising me. Plus, this gives me like that. It's almost contemporary, and then it's obviously fantasy at the same time. So I'm sure there's going to be some insta-lovey stuff happening. But again, Everlasting Rose and Everlasting Rose by Dhonielle Clayton and The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. These are the two that I'm currently reading. The book club book of the month is one that I chose. So I'm so excited because that obviously means that we are going to fantasy and we are going to be reading Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. Keep a lookout on my Instagram. I will leave the Instagram information for Orshale and Troy down below so that you guys can follow them as well. We always post when our live show is going to be about a week in advance. So keep a lookout for that. We'll also announce it on YouTube too, but I would really love for you guys to join. We try to have a discussion. We're getting better at reading the comments while we're talking. So yeah, I'm super excited about this book. I have been waiting. This has definitely been on one of my anticipated book lists. Basically it's just, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Basically, there's a tracker. He's hired to find a boy. And then he realizes that this boy is very valuable and that a lot of people want him, but he doesn't know why people want the boy. So they're trying to figure that out. And the story goes from there. I know that this is the beginning of a series. And this is my first time reading a Marlon James book. So I'm hoping very much to like his work because, again, he is a person of color writer. So, yeah, I'm very excited. I love the cover of this book. I feel like it has like triple meaning that I would just love to sit here and dissect one day. But yeah, I'm very excited to get into this. As soon as I finish Everlasting Rose, Actually, I might just be reading 3 books because I like to read ahead of time for the book club so that I have time to sticky note it and like write my thoughts and stuff. I don't write in the book. I just don't like defacing my books like that, but I will put a bunch of sticky notes where I have thoughts so that I can, do stuff for the book club. But yeah, Black Leopard, Red Wolf. Another book that I was put onto during Black History Month is How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin. And basically what I understand is these are a bunch of short story, sci-fi, it's sci-fi written by Black people, I think. I think it's sci-fi written by Black people, and then because it's written by Black people, like it's actual Black people in the sci-fi. And if you guys are anything like me, you know that we are not heavily represented in the fantasy sci-fi realm. So I'm very excited about this. Like, I'm hoping that there is no like major Black trauma in this with slavery or something, but even if it is, I'm going to try it. It's short stories, so they're, quick burst of story time. I hadn't planned on reading this, but then the library got it in, so I figured I might as well read it. So yeah, another library book. Okay, so I'm not going to lie. The first time I saw the cover of this book, I made the decision to read it because there were Black chicks on the cover, and that is The Afterward by E.K. Johnston. Now, basically what I understand is it's a group of female warriors / heroes who found a gem that cured the prince of their kingdom, and that brought on prosperity and wealth and, peace. But it's 2 girls specifically that I guess they're going to say was never meant for heroism so early. So like they're struggling with their identities, and one of them is a thief. The other one is an apprentice. So I don't really know really what this is. I just know I want to read it. That's only 5 books. So I've dropped my TBR down from my normal 8 to 5 because I feel a reading break happening soon. So hopefully the goal is that I want to find some of these books on audiobook so I can listen to them at work. Oh, and I forgot to mention at work, I'm currently listening to The Renegades. I think I'm on disc 2. I don't really have a lot of opinions on it just yet, so that'll be something I'll add to my wrap up for next time. But my question to you guys is, what books are you reading for this month? What books are you actually looking forward to coming out this month? Because if you didn't know, let's see. I have on my list for books that I'm excited for this month of releases is Descendant of the Crane, When We Left Cuba, Arisha and the Song of Death, Mirror, Mirror, A Twisted Tale. I'm kind of obsessed with the Twisted Tales. I'm just mad they're not in audiobook form. But yeah, those are the only books for... April's a quiet month compared to my other months. But yeah, that's my question to you guys. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. And until the next time, guys. Bye.